goes.
Hello, I am Marya Kazmi, also known as Brown Girl Interrupting, and this is Pain to Power, the show where we turn our struggles into our strengths and heal in community. So, the full title of this show is Pain to Power Leading with Love. You see it right down there, right? Because leading is such an important part of the healing journey. And my understanding of leadership has changed as my understanding of men has changed. So I'm raising 3 sons. I meet men in dating. I hold a lot of space for men through this platform and the work that I do. And what I've learned is that leadership often shows up before intention, and it's sometimes shaped by survival or environment. And men are socialized to believe what that power might look like. And a lot of men are taught how to lead others a long time before they're actually taught how to lead themselves. And that disconnect matters because that influence without intention can reinforce cycles, and that impacts how we then show up as individuals in our spaces. This show has been a place where we've started to examine that shift, the shift from leadership moving from control to responsibility, from reaction to reflection, from survival to service. And tonight's conversation is about this evolution, the humanity behind leadership, and what becomes possible when a man is given the space to redefine power on his own terms. So my guest is someone that people may think they already know, and you may know some fragments of his story, but you may not know all of it. And today, that's what we're going to be getting into. So in a few moments, I'm going to be bringing Wink Loc on. But before I do, I want to introduce the trailer for his upcoming autobiography and documentary, Locomotive.
A lot of the things that people know, they only know the surface of it. I was on a swim team. I like playing tennis. I like reading books. I had to shed all of that because it didn't attract the attention that I needed from my mother. I was 15, 16. Bloodsville across the street, and they had bats. And we was on one side of the street, and I was literally sitting on the bike. Like, just sitting on the bike, like, nobody ain't gonna do nothing? So I'm like, man, all right, man, give me my gun back. And I just started shooting at him. He was standing there, my best friend, with no gun in his hand, doing the same motion. Bah, 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 bah. He did not leave. Everybody else ran and scattered. But I didn't even know where I was going because I haven't never been that far from my block. All I did was just get off the bike and I sat right there on the corner, like on the curb.
I'm here to be the younger version of Wink when he was in the streets.
Feeling trapped, I can't let it go. Mind racing, I just can't ignore. 12 gauge to before that, that was Reggie. Oh, he played basketball. He ain't nobody. But when I was Wink, everybody.
Please welcome the creative, the author, the producer of Locomotive, Wink Loc. Welcome, Wink.
Hey.
Oh, I think we lost your audio for a second. Sorry.
I said, how you doing? How you feeling today? How's everyone doing today?
I am great, and I think everybody else here is great. I'm looking forward to a great conversation with you. That was a powerful documentary. We're
Okay.
going to get into some of the details of the story, and obviously, it talks about some of your beginning pieces and some of where
Hmm.
things have gone. But I it's really an honor to have you here on the show.
Appreciate it.
Because
Thank you for having me.
thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And I always invite people on and ask them about this very personal journey and understanding, I think, of turning pain into power. So when you think about this idea of turning your pain into power, what has it meant for you?
Um, I think it started like really when I started going to therapy. Um, Starting to understand myself a little bit more and not just sitting in that funk, holding all that trauma from a child, all that trauma that it started to fester as an adult. I didn't think that my childhood trauma that I didn't have a grip on would kind of affect me as an adult. As it affected me as an adult, it either I can change and use what I've learned to make a better decisions or be a better man, or I can just sit in it and be the same person I was before.
Mm. Thanks. No, I appreciate that because the therapy clearly is helping you to see a new perspective, right? Like that
All right.
idea. And I think we talk about this a lot on the show, but the idea is healing is a choice, right?
It's a choice, yeah. By far, it's a choice. You get to choose to see if that's what you want to do. But if it's not taught, if you don't know about it or the stigmas that you hear about it, black and brown people, we kind of shy away from therapy. It's
Yeah.
not healthy to share what you got going on for somebody to actually, because you get the notion of somebody just sitting there and you laying on the couch and you telling them and they just giving you advice, but that's not the basics of therapy or what you actually learn from it. So it's a journey. It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a journey. And I mean, and it sounds like even just getting over to the place of doing that, taking the decision to go to therapy.
Hmm.
If you don't get that lesson, if that's not what the environment is, and I think, we opened up talking about this idea of socialization and this idea of even socialization of like who goes to therapy and what's it for, right? Like that can impact whether or not we even make that decision, right?
Hmm. Correct. Well, my journey for therapy was um it started when it was when I was going through a rough patch in my marriage, and I didn't have an answer. I kept infidelity was just very strong in my marriage, and I kept doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That different result didn't happen. Um, so I didn't have anybody that I could really talk to or confide into. I didn't have a strong counsel of men that I can go to that were actually married or had any type of structure in a relationship where they can tell me how to navigate. And the only thing I did do was I end up checking myself in an inpatient therapy in
Hmm.
an inpatient facility. So I think that was my breaking point.
But it also sounds like a point where you started to gain something too, right? So by breaking, you also are moving forward in some ways. And I want to talk more about that because I think that there's so much to your story that's led you to that, right? So you talk about your marriage, but before
Mhm.
that, there's a lot of other pieces in your story. And I'm just going to take us back a little bit, if you don't
Okay.
mind,
Of
right?
course. Of course.
And just because I know, just thinking of the trailer we just watched, right?
Hmm.
There's this story of the swimmer and the athlete and the intellectual, and like, and there's a story of Reginald, the young man, that I want to understand a little bit better, and I'd love for everyone else to understand better, just about like, who were you as a young kid, like growing up? How would you describe yourself, your personality, the things that you were interested in?
I think growing up, I was just different. I kind of I wasn't into, at that time, I really kind of wasn't into sports growing up. I just was into reading books, just a nerd. I didn't really want to get dirty, like I wasn't into fighting, getting my clothes dirty, none of the above. I took to tennis first. Um, I started playing tennis at first. I used to draw and then play tennis. The teacher in my school, he was teaching us how to play tennis. Mr. Jackson and Miss Hyman, they lived up the block. Miss Hyman lived up the block. But Mr. Jackson, I took to tennis real good, and then it wasn't kind of accepted. It was kind of like made fun of at that time. and so I stopped playing tennis. And then I started going to the Boys and Girls Club on Bedford Avenue, and then I joined the swim team. And from there, I was really good at that as well, but it kind of didn't fit in either. So everything else I just didn't really have, as far as I
Mm.
wasn't football, like that wasn't for me. It was a little bit too rough at that. Baseball, I wasn't with it. I tried basketball. I was good at that, but it was kind of like, all right, whatever. It
So were
fit
you
there.
so were you like kind of looking through these different activities and things like one things you liked and things you were better at, but a sense of belonging to something to connect with people or with
Like,
yourself?
yeah, just like to connect with the things of my people, like my friends that I grew up with, because everybody in my building kind of like they had their own thing. Like when they was doing skateboarding, I didn't really go outside. That wasn't my thing.
Mm,
I wasn't really into the skateboarding like they tried that, or when they would interact, I just didn't fit in. I felt I didn't fit in. At that time, I felt I didn't fit in. I felt like everything was just solely focused on just being outside. I didn't really like being outside. I stayed in the house. I played video games. Everything just felt like a lot to me that I just didn't fit in at that time. When I
mm.
look back at it, I should have just kind of stayed to the core of things like that.
Stay to the say that again?
Core, like I should have just stuck to myself, just but comfortable to be myself. I wasn't comfortable being myself.
Mm. Do you think you've learned more about who yourself is over these last few years? I think going back to like you going to therapy and like other pieces, like are you learning more about who that self is?
Yeah. Um, I've started to learn, embrace it more, but then you start to break down these walls and ask yourself, what took you so long? But like my
Mm.
therapist says, it wasn't my time at the time. That wasn't I had to go through this to experience that, to
Yeah.
actually figure out who I was and what I had going on.
Well, and I honestly like thinking about like giving yourself grace is very few people know. Like it's not easy to know who we are. I think that there's so many messages and you talk about those, right? Like there's messages of what you're told to be versus what you want to be. Or
Hmm.
and so you get lost in like, so who am I? If this
Hmm.
is what everybody's telling me to be, if this is what like the kids are doing my age, this is what my parents want me to be, but it's not who I am, where do I fit, right? Like that's real. That's real stuff. And for you, to your point, right? Like I should have stuck to my core. Obviously, stuff happened and you ended up making some different decisions and you shifted, right? Like your life shifted quite a bit. And
Fast.
Reginald the boy became Wink Loc, right? So
Correct.
what happened there? Tell us a little bit about that background so that everybody knows your story a little bit more.
Well, as far as how I shifted to that, I was always yearning for attention from my mom. Like that was just I was just always looking for attention, and I just couldn't get the attention. You know, um, like my mom was a great woman. She had the tools. She just only gave me what she was able to give me. At the time, I didn't understand that. As I go to there, I figure out she only could give what she was given. So what she gave me, I just felt at that time it wasn't enough. Like I had two brothers and a sister, and my other brother, he got the attention and he was already in the streets. So me, when I kind of gravitated to the streets, I just took it like head on. It wasn't for me, but I just took it head on. Once I put my mind to it, it just felt natural. So everything that I did was kind of based on that, like for attention. I just I was always Wink, like that's what my family called me from since I was a kid. Like my grandmother named me that from when I was 1 years old from a movie called Hollywood Shuffle, Winky Dinky Dog. And as I grew up, my name just kind of just started getting broken into pieces. But I've always been that. But to get into Wink Loc, it was just a whole different person. I became a whole different person.
And do you feel like that's when you felt like you were fitting in?
I felt like I was fitting in, but I felt like I was somebody that as I look back at it, I was somebody that wasn't who I was. Like
Mm.
I became vicious. I didn't empathize. I didn't have empathy. I just was all about. I was just all about my gang. I was all about my set. I was all about just making sure that my name like surpassed everybody else's name. It just made I just
Mm,
had to make sure that my name was that at its peak. Like if someone's name was here, I just had to make sure mine was over there, no matter what it took or no matter what it did. Long as it aligned with the street rules, the principles of the street, the morals of the street. I stuck to those.
mm. Um, and I mean, with that though, it sounds like you also like people saw you. They saw you as a leader, right? Like you climbed and that's what people were taking in. And the title of the show is From Influence to Impact. So when you think about this idea of like influence,
Hmm.
when did you realize you had that power of influence over people in this gang life that you were in?
I didn't even realize it at first, because like it was like you when you're thrust to be a leader, when you're put in this position and you've never led. I didn't know how to be a leader. I kind of still participated in everything that everybody did. I was still young. So sometimes there was people that was older than me that I was supposed to be leading, but how? Like, what could I
Mm,
tell them to do? I didn't know what to tell them to do. I just like that was my joy. Like everybody has their own high. Their people highs was maybe smoking weed or getting drunk. My high was gangbanging. So I just like to go put in work. So that was my high. So I didn't know how to be a leader. I was just it was just everything was fun to me. The
right.
mentality of everything was just fun. Let's just go do this. Let's go do that. If we did it, we did it. If they didn't want to do it, I had my best friend. He wouldn't turn me down for nothing.
So you didn't know how to be a leader, but do you think you were still like you knew like everybody's following me? Like, did you know that at least, or did you not?
Yeah, I knew that.
You
I
knew
knew
that,
that.
so you thought something about who you were as people following you. You had power.
Yeah.
What do you think about that power? Like, what did that tell you? Like, what did that help you understand at that time about the power of leading other people and other people following you?
At that time, I don't think I even knew how the magnitude of the power. I didn't even realize the magnitude of the power until it was too late, I would say. I think I
Mm,
didn't realize it until when I was in prison. That's when I realized how much power I really had, because I didn't utilize the power the correct way. That's when I realized how much power I actually had throughout them years. When I was in prison and I'm sitting there and realizing how everything that was happening on the street was just falling apart. I remember my homeboy told me that, like, when you get locked up, it's like the head of the snake. When you cut the head of the snake off, the body is just gonna just wiggle. So when you go to prison, we all gonna fall apart. And I just was like very stubborn, young. I was just talking to him like, yo, I don't want to hear this shit, man. You don't know what you're talking about. But everything he said, it happened. As soon as I went to prison, kind of the set kind of drifted apart. And when I came home from prison, I wasn't the same person. I
mm,
wasn't the I wasn't uh I was still I would say I would still have that in me, but it was embedded in me. It wasn't like I wasn't out there trying to be that person that I was before. I had kind of changed, and what made me change a little bit was when I came home after the 7 years. I came home and they was still doing the same shit that they was doing 7 years ago. They didn't have anything to show for it. And I just couldn't see myself going back to prison for some stupid shit. So I stayed the same, but I just kind of started to keep my distance. I started trying different things, new things that I felt like would help me out.
and how'd that impact, like, your own relationship with with others and, like, your own relationship with yourself in that process?
With others, I think they felt like when I was coming home to be the Wink Loc that they knew. Like I was coming home to turn Flatbush upside down.
Mm.
But I did have that mentality when I first came out those gates. That was my first thing. I had that mentality. I think mm, I was home for an hour and I went to my homeboy's wake. They was burying my homeboy. Um, and then I had that mentality, but I think when I fell asleep that night, my first night home, and woke up, and then I seen everybody coming around, I already kind of felt like This is just not it for me. I didn't have anything to show for it. So my years away, I came home to nothing.
Mm.
I came home to nothing.
But you saw it as nothing before you didn't see it as nothing. So, like,
Yeah, I
your
didn't see it as
perception of
nothing
it
before.
changed.
Yeah, it was just like, what am I actually going? I'm. What am I about to do? Am I
Mm,
about because I was setting myself up to go back to prison, whether I
mm,
realize it or not.
mm.
I was back on the block. I was back on the block that all the things like took place on, and I'm here now. Everybody knows me as Wink Loc, so they still see me and they address me as that. Now I'm home. Um, I done did prison. They use that as stripes. I done came home. And I'm I'm worked out. I'm buff. I'm more of a problem now because now I'm
Mm,
looking and I'm like people are looking at me weird because I'm so big and I just don't fit in. But it's okay because I'm not that bully no more.
right. But that sits better with you, it sounds like, but not with everybody else, right? Because now
No,
they're
everybody
trying to figure
else,
out,
they
like,
didn't know where I stood at.
where'd
They
the Wink
start
go that we know, right?
he was there. Little instances like I still had little run-ins here and there, but it wasn't to the fact where I was standing on the corner anymore. I wasn't flagging all the time. I wasn't trying to be in the forefront of everything. I was literally just really trying to figure out what am I going to do so I don't go back to prison.
Mhm.
Like what was it? What am I going to do? So what did I do? I think I was home a week. Yeah, I was home about a week, and I went and took the assessment test at Mega Evers College and enrolled in college. So that's what I did. But
Um, I mean, so so how'd that start to change you, though? That's a big shift, right? Like, you at this point, how old are you?
27,
27. Man,
27.
alright, okay, so I love it. We got Cooney. Thanks, Logic says, yep, CUNY, right? I love that. And, so but it sounds like there's a shift also, right? Like 27, from 16 to 27 is a long time, and there's new perspectives that you have about leadership, and I'm wondering, like, were you starting to see manhood differently? Were you starting to see what it is to have power or what power is supposed to look like differently?
Not yet. I don't think not yet. I think I was
No.
still kind of my feet were still in the streets, but I was also trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I didn't understand it as of yet. Yeah, I thought about it. I didn't realize the power I had, but I still was kind of like still loyal to my tribe. I was really
Mhm.
loyal to my tribe,
Mhm.
and I also was starting to be loyal to myself because I wasn't ever putting myself first. So me going to school, it was my way of like I wouldn't be around. I would be in school all day. Like I would be in college.
Right,
I would be in
right.
college from the morning. It was just like I was in high school again. And I would go to school, come home, go to school, come home. But I was still, at the end of the day, I was in school. Everybody still knows. Like they would come up to the school, they would know I'm Wink Loc. That's Wink Loc. Or so it was like I couldn't shake it. Everywhere I went, it was still the same results. The only
Right.
thing different was I just wasn't super active. Like I wasn't looking for the trouble that I got used to. I wasn't actively looking for trouble.
So it was like a slow evolution, it sounds like then, right? Like
It,
you're moving away. You knew you wanted something a little different, at least for you, right? But not completely changing your life because you're still involved in everything going on in the streets with with everybody. But I mean, at what point did you, or was there ever a point like where you were like, this life over here, like, I think I want to be here more than I'm there? Like, was there ever a point where that started to shift for you?
I don't think so. I think with that it was like I couldn't see myself. I didn't want to see myself as a fraud. Like I didn't want to denounce what I've known, even though I was misled. So I was a leader at the end of the day that I was misled. So unfortunately, I was misleading other people. You
Right.
know what I mean? I didn't understand the dynamics of everything. So me being misled, I misled other people, but I still held, it still had a control over me. Like I was still feeling like I had to be loyal to my comrades. I really, I would say I would call myself, I've had this thing where it's called blind loyalty, where you're so
Mm.
loyal to somebody and certain things that you don't realize those things that you're loyal to is actually destroying you and tearing you apart. And that's what was happening. I wasn't even realizing it. So I was kind of, okay, I got to do this. I got to be in school. But I used to tell myself, like, yeah, when I graduate, I'm going to wear a blue flag and just let everybody know, like, the big Crip graduated college. So I've still was always still putting my tribe at the forefront of everything, no matter what it was. I was always just trying to move it forward in different ways. So I was still
Yeah.
Wink Loc, but I was still kind of just like teetering. Like I was here with it. Like I was trying to do better in school and get this done and get this degree. But I was also like, I gotta show them something. I'm still here. I gotta be a part of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but it kind of, um, a lot of my comrades that I kind of grew up with, we kind of just started separating. Like we just started not getting along because I wasn't that person anymore. So some of them, even though they loved me or say they did, they didn't understand the journey that I was on.
Mm.
To them, they had different intentions of me of when I came home. And when I didn't come home that person, they still didn't, they was still fear and respect, but it was also like, what the fuck is happening to him? Like what's wrong? Like they didn't understand. It
Right.
wasn't that I feared jail. It was just more like I just did not want to go back. Like I felt like I wasted 7 years of my life. I just wasted the time I could not get back. My daughter, the relationship I had with my daughter was horrible. I just could not go back. I just couldn't do it. People glorify jail. I could not glorify. I didn't want to talk about jail. I didn't want to talk about things that happened in there. This, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't of me.
Yeah. I mean, but that's huge decisions that it sounds like weren't easy to make, right? Like if the whole environment around you is saying something different and then you're pushing against that. So you're still pushing against something that's around you. Which I mean that's a big thing because even with loyalty, you're still trying to fix your own life, right? Like you recognize the losses, you recognize the things that you missed out on. So it wasn't right away that that shift happened, but I gotta ask because I think so much of this, and I talk a lot about socialization. And you and I had this conversation before, right?
Hmm.
Like about these messages that we get as individuals, but particularly men get, right?
Hmm.
So, like, how much of those beliefs of who it is to be a man kept you stuck in those two places still? Like, because you talk about loyalty, like that's kind of a thing that has to do with sometimes um, men getting that message, right? That loyalty to your brothers trumps yourself sometimes, right?
Cause those loyalties, those street morals and principles, they could be harmful and they could be hurtful. They could be helpful as well, but it's how you use it. So,
Mhm.
um, me, I felt like at times I felt like a hypocrite because I would push some of my homeboys to be like, yo, finish school and do this. And then I was still, that wasn't for me at the time. I'd be like, yo, like I came home, one of my homeboys was a CP, he had a CPA, he's accountant. He did good while I was away in prison. He did very good when I was away. And I salute him for that. But then I felt like when it was my turn, I wasn't embraced the same way. It was more like that's Wink. He has to do like he has to behave this way. So those morals and those principles that I stood by, I feel like they kind of harmed me because I waited too long, too late in my life to realize that you you ultimately those things that you stand on, some of them are uh they make you do some stupid shit that you can't take back. Like one
Mhm.
of my biggest fears is dying in the street by yourself on a cold concrete. That is my biggest fear. Like just no matter what it is, like you just die on the concrete and you're by yourself. That is my biggest fear. Like before I went to prison, I wasn't afraid of death. It was like I was searching for. I didn't care. I didn't value life. I didn't value nobody else's life. But it was one time I was in prison, my homeboy died. One of my close comrades. He used to come visit me all the time. His name was Oklahoma. He used to come visit me all the time, him and G-Rod. And he missed a visit. And everybody hid it from me. I didn't know that he died. They tried to hide it from me. And I remember when I actually did find out, I couldn't cry because I was in prison. And I didn't cry for years, so I couldn't cry. I was in prison. What made me realize that after he died, I was like, I started questioning, like, do I even care if I die? And I kept saying, what happens if I die? Will I see the people at my funeral when I die? Where do I go after I die? How would I know who's coming to the
Mhm.
funeral if they're going to be there? How do I know anything is going to happen after I die? Will I
Right.
live on? My legacy? I didn't, that's all I kept thinking about when I
Right.
realized it.
But I mean, that's so deep. And I think I saw Jalogic put that in the chat, right? That is deep because I mean, it sounds like there's like this invincibility. And now you're so conscious and aware of humanness of you, like the possibility of losing time with people by going to prison, the possibility of death like as a real thing, not just this idea that it's not going to happen, right? Like to you, like you're invincible. So I mean, like there's all these messages that, to your point, are damaging. So how did you okay, because and I don't wanna sit here too long, but I think, like, what you've done is, though, that's a lot to hold and carry, and somehow you still continued to move forward and choose a different path, right? How did you keep going? What kept you moving forward? And Dialogic says you did right, you picked right. Yeah, right? Like, and it might have started incrementally, but you did. You were trying to pick right. And I mean, how does that keep happening for you where you were able to break some of those cycles of the messages of what it is to be a man, a leader, powerful, all those things?
Uh, so I didn't finish school. I was started doing music. I started doing music for all the wrong reasons, but it got me the attention that I needed. I end up signing to CTE. Um, you're Young Jeezy, and I went on tour for maybe 3 years. I was away for like 3 years, off and on, back and forth. I learned a lot in that process. Um, I kind of thought that things would like happen rapidly, being signed to CTE to this big artist, but it didn't happen like that. Um, but I learned the the value of the craft. I learned it from my homeboy Push, and then I ended up meeting Ransom after my mom died. But I learned how to tell my stories and craft it the proper way. So I tried the music thing, and it was good, but I still had a hold. The streets really had a hold on me. I couldn't let go. I was still attached to the name. I could not let the name go. It was like attached to me, no matter what it is. Oh, that's Wink Loc. So it's hard. It was hard. The transition,
Yeah.
it's hard to, it's like they say, you outgrow things. You do outgrow it, but your name is your name. I feel like it's hard to let the name go when I've been through and pulled this name through the mud. I've pulled this. I've created this
Mm.
life. It's like it was my baby, and I created this person.
Mhm.
And I've had to keep this hat on for this person throughout it all, throughout the the wars in the streets, the other warring with other tribes, the being shot, to going to prison, to coming home, to doing music, to still trying to figure out life. It's hard. Like life is life still.
Mhm.
And it's
Right.
hard because you don't know when things get rough, you naturally want to revert back to what you know.
Right. I mean, that's safety. That's what we do as humans, right? Your brain and literally there's neuroscience to that, is that the brain thinks it's keeping you safe because it goes to something familiar. And Jalad said, your name is your name." Oh, I missed it. Um, Can you put that back up, John? Um, so I mean, but and that's it, right? Like your name is your name, and but it's also that's your story, right? So you have
Mhm.
had a story of who Wink Loc is, and it sounds like, I mean, obviously it's very hard, right? Because it's beyond just your boys. It's like this is the legacy
Yeah.
that you have that you're holding on to, and there's a part of you that wants to hold on to it. You're saying, right? So like,
I didn't even want to tell my story. Like I remember me and Victorious got real close, and he was always trying to push the documentary to me because we were kind of working on the book, and I was just like, I wasn't ready for it. You know, the book, it was moving at a fast pace. He used to always come visit me. We would talk. It was a lot of motion. And then in the process of that, his mom died. And when his mom died, I know that feeling because my mom died. So I kind of like eased up off of him a little bit. And we kind of got a distance, because that pain, I understand that pain when you lose your mom. Like it's nothing that is hard to
yeah.
explain it. When you lose your mom, it's like it's a hard thing to come from. I'm still feeling that pain in this over 10 years. It still feels fresh. So the book had came to a halt, and the documentary, I always didn't want to tell my story. I just wanted to just keep it to myself from everything that went on. I just wanted to keep it to myself, but things kind of changed. Things changed. I had a son, and things changed right there. I just wanted to change for my son and my daughter. I wanted to let them know that, leave my legacy. Let them know that your dad was something and I came from something, and look where I'm going now.
Mm. That's a different kind of legacy, right? Okay, Vanessa Johnson says, blind loyalty is good. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and most importantly, your authenticity about your story. Many of our young people need to hear this. Super proud of you. Salute, King. Salute for certain. Thanks, Vanessa. Appreciate that. Absolutely, right? Like, and I mean, so let's talk about that because true leadership, definitely, Vanessa, true leadership. That's a lot of shifts and changes. And I mean, to go from not wanting to tell your story to finally being like, I got to, right? Like you're ready to open up. Um, Tell me more about what what the impact of having your son really, right? Like that was the time when
Hmm.
it happened for you where you reached out to Victorious
Hmm.
and you wanted to keep writing this book and start the documentary. So what was it for you in that moment? And you and I talked about this, but I remember for myself, my daughter being born for me was a huge eye opener about being a woman. So how, when your son was born, did that start to impact the way you saw being a man and the legacy?
Oh yeah. It changed because like with my daughter, it was different. I felt like she had a mom, and I didn't really I wasn't really a focal point in her life until she was 16. With him, it was like I didn't have a man raise me. So how could I raise a man if I don't even know how to be a man?
Mm,
Like how I would have to learn how to actually be a man to raise a man. So it was like I didn't have a man raise me. Yeah, my dad was there, but he didn't raise me. My mom raised me, you know. So that's what I wanted to do. I just had to be a man. So I was like, I have to do something different. I have to try to. I had to give him my all, not just
mm,
for him, but for my daughter as well. It's just I didn't know how to be a man. Like I just didn't know how. I didn't have anybody groom
yeah,
me to teach me how to be a man. We don't have that in our communities. When you bad and you doing bad and you in the streets, they salute you for that. Ain't nobody, when you're a little bit younger and you got like basketball or whatever, they'll be telling you get off the streets. But once you full fledged in the street, they salute you for that. It's like a respect thing. Ain't
right.
nobody stepping up to you to stop you like, yo, you wrong, you out of pocket. Ain't nobody ever tell me I was out of pocket or tell me, yo, stop that or nobody ain't never tell me. One person, he used to tell me that all the time. He used to always tell me, get off the corner, Kojak.
Mm,
And I looked at him like a dad. He used to always tell me that every time he would get off work, he would drive. I would stand on the corner. I was on the corner on Two First with a million Crip dudes around me, and he would drive past, and he was like, "Get off the corner," and I used to be like, "What?" He's like, "I don't care who you with, get off the corner. When something happened, none of them gonna do nothing. Just get off the corner." And he would leave his car parked there until I literally got off the corner. I would walk from the corner to the building, and I would walk back to the corner
Mm.
once he pulled into the
Right, right,
garage.
right, right.
But I would listen to him. He would like get off the corner. So I would get off the corner. Um,
What was it about him saying it? Like, even though you didn't want to, there was something that still made you do it.
I always respected my elders. I just had a respect for him. He lived on the block. He didn't participate in none of the bull crap. He had kids. Um, and it was genuine, it was genuine. It was genuine. It was like, yo, just get off the corner. Like, get off the corner. And he always showed me, he treated me like his son. He would
Mm.
always treat me like his son. And ironic that his daughter was the one that saved my life when I got shot in the head.
Mm.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's powerful. I mean, so, you talk about like, you know, being not knowing what it is to be a man, but then yet at the same time, in many ways, people are probably looking at you at the time that you're in the streets and you're leading everybody and everybody's looking to you. Everybody says you're a man, right? Like you're being told you're a man. But how did that change right now, like your perception of what it is to be a man at that point to now when you're looking at it, your son is born and you're realizing that you didn't have all the tools that you wanted. Like, what are some of the things that you realize you needed to understand better about being a man?
Um, that it's okay to be vulnerable. At that
Mm,
time, I didn't understand what felt like to be vulnerable, to cry or to feel, to express yourself. You would always, looked at as weak if you express yourself or you cry. So I stayed away from those emotions. There was no need to cry, no matter what. What is there to cry for? It'll be all right. You'll pick yourself up and it's gonna be all right. So I never
mm,
cried. I never cared to be vulnerable. And if I did, it was in secrecy. I would never let anybody know. I would never even, I was a good person. I had good intentions, but it just didn't pan out those ways. So I just wanted to, when being a man, I want my son to understand. Even my daughter, oh my gosh, her emotional intelligence is far supersedes mine. Her
mhm,
emotional intelligence is, for 24 years old, her emotional intelligence is great. I just feel like I wish that I was able to express myself the way I am now before, because
mm,
things could have been differently. I've could have guided myself in certain situations. Maybe they would have been different. The outcome was different, but I didn't because I didn't understand how to be vulnerable, how to be honest, how to accept, how to take accountability.
mm. So that's a couple of things. There's vulnerability, there's accountability, there's acceptance, right? Like those are a lot of different things to look at in manhood as you're looking at it differently. Um, and I mean, again, I would say giving yourself grace, like constantly giving yourself grace, because the truth is you can only do what you know with the tools that you have at the time that you have them, right? So, um, but being able to reflect back and saying you wished you had that is
Mhm.
powerful. So let's talk about this vulnerability because I think you mentioned at the top, right? We talked about, you talked about your understanding of pain to power mainly is the fact that you was getting into therapy. So you did go to inpatient therapy and there was a
Yep.
lot of realizations there. Let's talk about like, was there a connection to your understanding of vulnerability in that experience? Can you just tell us a little bit about what happened with that?
So I went there for infidelity, and um, I had to go to group sessions, and group sessions was like at 8 in the morning, from 8 in the morning to like 3 in the afternoon. So I had to be in this setting where you have to express yourself. So it was forcing me to be in an uncomfortable position where I had to express myself and talk around all of these women that I didn't know, and express to them exactly what I'm here for. Or it was like a very uncomfortable, and I had no choice. I did have a choice, but I felt like this was a reason. So that vulnerability, it led me to be vulnerable, to express myself every day, every morning. I would have to come in there and they would pass the feeling wheel around, like
Mm.
just express how you feel. And I used to get frustrated my first couple of days there. I'm like, don't pass the wheel. I don't feel no way. I don't want to talk about how I feel. But then I had to participate. I started saying, okay, I have to participate. In the beginning, I was going to use it as uh, like, okay, I'm going to use this as a stepping stool. I'm gonna manipulate this whole therapy thing, and I got this under my belt. But then I started taking it seriously. Like I started taking it where it started getting to me. Like it was like there's these tools that I'm learning, like I'm starting to implement them. Like they had us doing yoga and sound bowls and stuff that I
Mm.
normally wouldn't do. No one was in there calling me Wink, not a soul addressed me as Wink, not a soul. Um, and it just felt fresh. It felt good. And I felt like even though I didn't really mingle with nobody outside of like in group, I spoke to everybody. But when group was over, I just kind of kept to myself. Like I would go to my room and I wouldn't really leave unless I ordered food or went outside because we would, where I was at, there was the beach was like 2 minutes away. So
Mm.
we were allowed to we could do whatever we wanted to do, but I really wouldn't mingle. I would go to the beach, I would walk for a few hours here and there, and then come back, take a shower, and get in the bed. I really wouldn't talk to nobody inside the facility. But when it was time for group, I would talk to people. But once it was over, group was over, I was like, all right, I would detach fast.
Mm.
I didn't want to be associated with them. I felt like you guys are in here for different things. That's how I felt in the beginning until I realized that we kind of all connected some way, somehow. I'm like, you're in here probably for drugs. You're in here for this. You're in here for that. I'm in here for infidelity. It's not the same. But the reality of it was the same pain. It was the same thing that
Mm.
everybody was doing. So whether I was the one hooked on drugs and put in that position, it kind of equaled the same thing because our stories kind of interconnected with each other.
Mm. Did that help to allow you to be more vulnerable in hearing similar stories of pain, even if they were different things that people's like were there for?
Yeah. Because then you start seeing your empathy, you start empathizing and sympathizing with people's story to be like, damn, that's messed up.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, that's messed up. And you start to connect with people. So even though I detached myself, I started to attach myself. Like now we would like on when we didn't have therapies, like when it was just Sundays, we would all go to the beach and sit there and just be there. Whether we would kind of talk to each other or not, we were there together. So it was like I
Mhm.
was starting to build these relationships with them, and it was cool. They kind of got me through that because there was
Mhm.
numerous days I just wanted because you can get up and go if you want to leave. It was days that I just wanted to leave, and I just didn't leave. I didn't leave. I wanted to
Mm.
though. Days I'm like, I can't do this. This is not it. I remember I called my best friend. I'm like, and I told him where I was at because no one knew that I had checked myself in except my daughter, and that was it. And then I told him, and he came to the facility. He was like, you can leave? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, then we leaving. I was like, I was
Yeah.
like, nah, I'm not leaving. He was like, we're leaving. Like, let's go. I was like, nah, I'm not leaving. He's like, so what do you want to do? Come on, let's go get something to eat. Went to get something to eat. He stayed with me for a little while. We ate, and he left me there. He's like, if you need something, just call me. I'll come. So, and I never even told nobody that I went there until maybe once it was done. I was like, I checked myself in, and people were like, you're not crazy. I'm like, yeah, I kind of am. To expect a different result for the same thing, I am. It's insanity. It's actually insanity.
Mm. So let's talk about this different result, because a lot of the things you talked about, right? You went there for infidelity, but there's a connection between some of these messages of manhood, the lack of vulnerability, of lack of accountability, the acceptance piece. Like, did that lead into relationships with women? Like, what you learned about manhood, how did that impact your relationships with women?
I think it affected me first. I think it started with my mom. me yearning for her attention so much, the feeling of abandonment. So I'm always attaching myself to people, especially the women, and not nurturing it the right way. I'm feeling like I need to be attached to someone that is no good for me.
What
So
is
potentially
describe
I'm hard.
attachment to me? What does that mean for you when you say you need to be attached to someone?
Like you're in one relationship with someone else, you're in another relationship with somebody else. You just can't, you don't know. I've never been by myself.
Hmm.
I've never been by myself. I've always been like, if I had one thing going on and that didn't happen, I was always ready for something else.
But while you're in these relationships, though, you're saying that it wasn't like you were authentically fully in them, though, right? You got all these
No,
different women. How do you show up? How do you think a lot of this other parts of your story impact how you showed up?
bits and pieces. It's just like when somebody knows you give what you can. You don't give them all. So you're
Mm,
giving breadcrumbs. You're giving bits and pieces. You're never giving your soul, your whole self to somebody to actually nurture with you or to build with you. You're only giving crumbs, and people think that's a lot. And in reality, when you look back at it, I didn't give you nothing. It makes you it's hurtful.
mhm.
Know that you've hurt people and stuff like that. It's hurtful. Because you can't, even though you're on this journey of healing, when you realize how much people that you've damaged along the journey, along your life, you want to apologize. Everybody is not accepting of that. So now, like now you start to beat yourself up again. Like, damn, why? Like, you could be. It's a catch-22. It's like, yo, I know I did wrong. I'm apologizing. They should accept my apology. But a part of it is like, they ain't got to accept it. You got to forgive
Mhm.
yourself. You
Right.
got to forgive yourself. And when you forgive yourself, whether they accept it or not, you don't have to prove that you've changed for them. This is
Yeah.
about you. And I've never put me first. I was always everybody else that I've put first. I've never took a moment to say, yo, it's about you and this is what it is.
So is not putting you first also part of related to you not wanting to share your story?
Yeah, of course. I'd rather let somebody else tell my story. Whether it's the truth or not, I was fine with it. It didn't really bother me because I knew the truth. So whether they told the story of how it happened or what took place, it didn't really bother me at the time. I was like, all right. I would hear stories. I would see different things. I had numerous people reach out to me and ask, and I would be like, no. I would tell them, yeah, I'll do it, knowing deep down inside I wasn't doing it. I wasn't saying nothing. So I didn't really care how they put it together. You can put all the pieces together to the puzzle, but it's not going to give you what you're looking for.
Right. The locomotive's different for you. Tell me how.
Locomotive, that's me. I got that name from Mandalay. My homeboy named me that. And at first I was like, yo, that's definitely not my name. But he broke it down. It's like a train, a locomotive train. It can't be stopped.
Mm.
At its highest speed, anything that gets in the way, it's going to run over. And that's how I feel. There's nothing, wherever I go through in my life, there's nothing that is going to stop me from getting to where I need to get. There's nothing, no one, anything. So that moniker, I stand by. I stand by that.
And you can because I feel like you keep evolving within it, right? So what that looked like at 16, at 27, at 30 something is different than what it looks like at 40,
45.
45, right? So you're still locomotive, but you've evolved into different aspects of what that is.
Yeah, I've added so much, all the baggage that I felt like I was carrying with me that was unnecessary. It's not at the front of the train anymore. It's not there.
Mm. Mm.
It's not there anymore. It's kind of
It
only
is
in the back of the trains.
right, right, right.
Some of the cars that done already fell off. So everything that I've evolved and what I'm evolving to right now, it makes me smile, but I don't give myself enough grace, as my therapist would say. I don't give myself enough grace, and I have to learn to be able to accept when people say nice things.
Why
Like
do
when
you
people say niggas,
what do you think doesn't allow you to accept that grace for yourself?
because of all the damage and the pain that I've caused. I can't, some of the things I can't take back. I have to live with that, you know? So sometimes giving yourself grace is like, yeah, I changed, but look at all the damage I've done. It's hard to let go and forgive yourself, but you have to.
You have to, because there's no other answer. There's nothing that you can do to control that, right? There's an acceptance of even just your past is your past.
All right.
You can't control or redo. You can't redo it, right?
No.
So you said that like you really haven't ever been alone and you
Mhm.
haven't really done this healing. Now that you're starting this healing, um, in focusing your attention on you, tell me a little bit about just what this has been like. There's obviously some pain, a lot of pain coming up, right? Lack of this acceptance fully, but what has been some mindsets, some beliefs about yourself or about life that have started to change?
One of them is like, I don't deserve happiness. That was one of the biggest things. I
Mm,
felt like I didn't deserve to be happy. Like I just, whatever it comes my way, it comes my way. But I don't believe that anymore. Who doesn't deserve to be happy?
right.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't get that opportunity to, you know, want that for yourself and someone else? You want that. So that belief, that's one of the biggest things of being alone. Like sometimes you gotta sit in your shit. And if you're able to sit through your shit, you'll
Mm,
be all right. Some people don't sit in their shit. They look at themselves
no.
in the mirror and they don't take accountability. They just look in the mirror and just it's always you. This person is this person that this. What about what you did? What about you did? So sometimes the accountability it hurts because you taking accountability. Sometimes you really want to be like, man, fuck that shit. I don't want to take no accountability. But deep down inside, you know this is the right thing to do. This
Mm,
goes back to being a man. How could you be a leader? How could you be a leader if you don't know how to lead? It took a while for me to understand that. How can you be a leader if you've never been a follower? You don't wake up a leader. You have to follow in order to lead. You got to see where the mistakes in that person that you were following so you can make better decisions. So all the people that I have led throughout the years, me being who I have been and still who I have been, I look back and see what impact have I done to them. Some people have died. Some people are in prison. I take accountability for that, even if it's not my fault because I am the leader.
right.
I got to live with that.
Have there been impacts though since you've understood these things about yourself and about life where you have reversed any of this leadership with any of the guys and any of the people in your life?
Can you repeat that? Say that again.
Yeah, like are there people though that you've been able to in this space that you're in actually impact positively and lead? Do you ever
Yeah,
reflect on that? Like who are those people?
I used to like I used to work for I used to work for this nonprofit organization. It was called GMAC. It was on Utica in church. I used to work with like troubled teens and gang members and stuff like that. I used to go to the prisons. I used to really be head on with the kids. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I just had a different approach with them. I wasn't telling them, I wasn't going in there and misleading them and saying, yo, get out of gang. I'm not in the gang. And they see me later and they see, yo, what's up, big homie? No, I was just telling them like there's other things to do while being in here. This ain't the only thing you have to do. Like you don't always have to just go put in pain or go do this. There's other ways that you can impact and build this up. But some people wouldn't understand that. You know, they wouldn't the message that I was giving, some people didn't understand. Like how you helping them if you still in the game? Easy, because who do you think they rather listen to? Me that's still in it and I'm telling them how I'm surviving, or you that you're not in it? What are you gonna tell them? You're a has-been. You a has-been. I'm still here. I'm impacting them. I'm trying
Mm,
to just give them other options, because you can't tell somebody not to do something. You have to actually lead them to show them that. And it's hard to do that from the outside. You have to do that from within.
Do you see an impact with it then?
Yeah, you have to. By you being in it, I would rather me. I wish I had somebody to tell me, yo, this is the consequences of this. I didn't have
Mm.
anybody to tell me, yo, this is the consequences of that. Everybody was kind of the tribes in New York, it was all fresh to people. So this freshness of it, it was like you get a new pair of sneakers. Your new pair of sneakers, it looks so good, it looks so good until they start to get dirty. And you're like, I don't need these, I need another new pair. That's how it was when the tribes in New York kind of started. It was fresh to everybody. So everybody was just so excited to be a part of it. But when you see death and prison, this, you realize like, oh my gosh, like you don't, it's happening so fast, you don't even realize how much is impacting you because it's happening so fast. These shooting,
Mhm. Mhm.
you go from not being in this gang to now it's heightened. Like you're everywhere with them. You're parties, you're fighting, you're shootings, there's stabbings, there's everything locked up, there's guns, everything is happening, but it's happening at a rapid rate. It seems like it feels like it's slow, but it's happening at a rapid rate, and you don't have a moment to grab or grip because you can't turn left because they with it. You can't turn right because they with it. So it's like you just got to go along for the ride. As you going along for this ride, you don't realize the consequences of this ride. You don't realize it.
Mm. You're
Some
constantly
people
in
realize too.
survival.
You always is that's to me, that's how I was raised. That's why I said I don't understand. I didn't understand how to love anyone because all I knew how to do was survive.
Mm.
I wasn't built. I wasn't raised off love. I was really raised off of survival. So it's easy for me to just go from here to here to here to here to here because I know how to survive. I know how to survive. I'll figure it
Yeah.
out. So it's not love. Now when you realize if you love yourself, of course you could love someone else. But if you was raised off survival, that's what's gonna kick in more than anything.
Right. I mean, that's your default,
Yeah.
right? That's comfort, that's safety, that's what your brain knows, that's what your body knows is survival.
Mhm.
So have you started to move out of a space for yourself when you think about that? Like, are you still as much in survival mode, or do you feel like you've been able to find ways to not constantly be in that space?
No, not. I don't think I'm in survival mode anymore. I think it's shedding that is the hard part because when you're in survival mode, you don't even love yourself.
Mm.
You don't love yourself. You're just figuring out a way to get over. You're
There
figuring
it
out
is.
a way to survive. I didn't love myself. No matter how much, and there was times I
Yeah.
couldn't even tell the people that I love them. I would tell them through a text message or I felt like through gestures, but to say it verbally, it was hard for me. Because I felt like when I was younger, every time that I said that to my mom, it was the reaction of what did you do? Like I did something bad. So me saying I love you is I had to have done something bad. So
Wow.
it's those things that you learn as a child that you
Yeah.
don't realize that affect you as an adult. Those things that affect you as an adult, they'll really break you. It's hard to tell. Like there was a point I couldn't tell my comrades, my brothers, that I love them. I would have to speak to them in our coded ways. Yo, bro, I got love for you, or I got heart to heart, or soul to soul. But the reality, I love you. Like I love you. Like I love you. You're my brother. Like I love you. Like we've been through some stuff, and I love you. Like when I speak to my comrades that I'm really speak to on a daily basis, I don't speak to them about things of the past. The first thing I ask about is, yo, how are the kids doing? That's
Mm.
number one. If you call me and you can't ask me how my kids are doing, then we don't need to be on the phone.
Mm. Well, and there's a difference between just saying I love you and authentically feeling it and showing it, right? Like there's right that I think a lot of people might say it. Not so much men, right? And not so much men in your life, but I think that it's everything that comes with it. Kind of like your example that you were talking about, the older man who made sure you were off the block, right? Like that
Mhm. That
that
was his
kind of
gesture
love.
of,
That
yeah,
was love.
with my homeboys, their way of showing or saying they love me is by doing something. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
You got to learn people's language, but you have to be able to express it. So,
yeah,
you know, when people hear your name, right? We talked about your name a lot. When they hear Wink Loc, what do you hope that people think about your legacy and leadership, not just like of the past, but like of who the man you want people to know you to be?
that he survived. Look at him. At every point in his life, he evolved. At every single point of his life, look how he has grown. They tell you a rose can't grow from a concrete. That's a
Mm.
lie.
Mm.
That is a lie
Right, right.
because weeds grow from it.
Mm.
So if you
Right.
water it and nurture it the proper way, it'll grow. It'll grow.
Mm.
It'll grow. So I want people to understand that regardless of what I've been through or what I'm going through, I'm going to figure it out. I'm never going to give up. That's just not who I am. That's that's just not who I am. I don't believe in quitting, but there's times that it is get rough for you. It's times that you sit back and you ask yourself why.
Mm.
Not like you doubt yourself, but you ask yourself like, why am I going through
Mm.
this? Why do I have to experience this? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, right? And I think those are the things that you keep working through as you heal, right? Vanessa says you did a great job leading Wink. You did not only impact the young people, but the staff you led as well. Through your pain, you still projected purpose. That's something strong and important to take away for certain. Thank you, Vanessa, for putting that in the chat. Kevin
if you
says,
weren't
do you
there.
feel your past is still holding you back? Thank you, Kevin, for joining us today.
I don't think my past is holding me back. I think my past is propelling me forward.
Mm, I like
I
that
think it
narrative.
propels me forward because without my past, there's no story. It all came into fruition.
I love that. Vanessa says, you sometimes may not see the seeds you plant or get flowers, but I'm here to give you your flowers. That's for certain. And I would say, Wink, I'm sure there's a lot of seeds that you've planted that you don't know. I would say just in the small conversation we had before this show, right? There are things
Hmm.
you said to me that I've reflected on since, right?
Hmm.
There's an impact, and it's going from that influence to impact, which definitely you have done. Are there any last thoughts that you have when you're thinking about just young guys watching this, or men who are struggling with their own understanding of like, what does it really mean to be a man? How do I start this journey to figure it out for myself? Um, what are your thoughts?
I think we need to surround ourselves with other like men. Since like me, I wasn't really good around other men. Like, because men, we have this thing with us. Like, I don't need no other man telling me what to do or how to act or how to behave, or what I'm doing wrong. Because me, I only can speak for me. I get real aggressive when a man I feel like he's talking and he may mean well, but I feel like he's getting his tone or is just not matching what I want to give. I automatically get defensive and I wanna show him like let's get physical. That's just me.
Mhm.
Like, yo, let's get physical. But I've noticed that the men groups that I'm a part of now, that we may come from different struggles and we have different stories, but when you sit around other men that want to do good stuff and be different, it's like that energy it's kind of
Mm.
passed around. So you always want to bring more people into that. I think men need to learn how to be vulnerable. Don't worry about, because most of the time that we're taught to, you work hard, and not only do you work hard and you just work and you do this because you're a man and you're supposed to do it. What about the nurturing part? Who's there to nurture us?
Mm.
Who is
Yeah.
there to comfort us? Who's there to tell us it's going to be okay? We don't have that because most of the time it's like he'll be all right. Like if you get caught crying, oh, you being weak. If you express how you are, you're being a sucker. We have to
Mm,
learn how to be accepting of that. Like you're not being a sucker by being vulnerable. You're not weak from crying. You're just being human. You know what I
right.
mean?
And it's necessary because when you're not, you're holding something. You're not. It's not that you don't feel it. It's that it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going somewhere. And that vulnerability is key. But to your point, right? Like it's also accepting other people's vulnerability and making a space for it. So I love the power of men's groups and healing spaces. It sounds like that's definitely been an impact for you. Before we leave, we know locomotives. Tell us a little bit more about where everybody should be tuning in and keeping track of Locomotive, the autobiography and the documentary. You got two things coming out, right?
Yeah.
And how do we stay on top of that? And where else do we reach you and connect with you?
It's from DJ Victorious. He is the producer. He is the brain. He is the glue. He is the architect to it all. His vision is like surpasses anything. Once he really means well. His vision is everything. So you can follow DJ Victorious. He has it all. He has other things that he works on as well. So you can check out all his great work. And with me, my name is I'm on Instagram. I'm Wink Loc, WINKLOC, the same thing. And you can see what I have going on. Just the book, the documentary.
I love it. I look forward to it. And yes, please go follow us, Victorious DaCosta. His
Yes.
actually just last week, my show was him and the interview I had with him. He's got a lot of different projects, and I know some things coming up in New York
Yes.
in January. So
The
definitely
fourth.
follow him and stay tuned for all of the projects and definitely for the release of Locomotive and the brilliance behind the storytelling of Wink's life and lessons and all the things. So thank you so much, Wink. I really appreciate you being here. What we witnessed tonight is this transformation from pain to power, right? This is what we've been talking about. But also, please make sure if you haven't done it yet, that you subscribe to this channel. So if you're new, you're visiting me, Vanessa, I saw you in here. Hope you subscribed, hit the bell, leave a comment if you're watching the rebroadcast and let us know what resonated with you, something Wink said, something I said, something we talked about, some questions you have, anything, interact with us. And please make sure that if any of this resonating with you in terms of thinking about turning your pain into power, I have a course I created called Empowerment Unlocked. And a lot of what it is exactly this. It's unpacking our patterns of socialization, whether we are women, we are men, and what we've been told we're supposed to be able to come home and return to ourselves, just similar to the journey that you're taking right now, Wink, right? And
Mhm.
Vanessa, thank you for leading me even when we're figuring out life. I love that. That's awesome. And thank you so much. Thank you again, Wink. I appreciate your time, your story, your vulnerability, and your honesty of everything that you have experienced to share with others to help us to know how do we continue to lead with love and make an impact.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you to Logic, Montaigne Masek. And please make sure you follow Victorious DaCosta because, again, a lot of this and this connection between Wink and I was thanks to the producer, Victorious DaCosta.
Yes.